Yeah, that's me. In the last 90 days, I have personally helped hundreds of non-native speakers become more confident speaking English. But just a few years ago, I was the quietest kid in my entire school. I was afraid to speak even in my native language. Today, I get paid to speak English. And the reason that happened was not because I was naturally talented. It was because I finally followed a system that forced me to use English in the real world. For 5 to 6 years, I studied without speaking. Then I committed to one focused 90-day sprint that changed everything. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact process that helped me go from scared to speak to speaking English confidently. And that has already helped hundreds of English learners do the same. And before I show you the exact 90-day roadmap that changed everything, I want to take you through my journey, the mistakes I made, the beliefs that kept me stuck, and the moments that completely changed how I think about learning English. Because once you understand why I struggled for 6 years, the roadmap at the end of this video won't just make sense. You will know exactly how to apply it to your own life. This video might be the most important English video you watch this year. If you stay until the end, you will leave with a complete 90-day action plan instead of just random tips. This is the entire roadmap I wish someone had given me years ago. Let's get into it. I want to tell you about a kid, the quietest kid in his entire school. And I mean the quietest, not just shy, not just introverted. This kid didn't speak, not to his classmates, not to his teachers, not even to his own family. Can you imagine that? Zero English, zero interest in learning it, zero plan for what came next. Okay? And he graduated with nothing. No direction, no idea what he wanted. No future he could actually see. And the worst part, he didn't feel sad about it. He didn't even feel angry. He just felt invisible. Like life was this thing happening to other people. It was loud, exciting, full of people around, and he was just watching from the outside. Have you ever felt like that? Like everyone around you is living and you just there. That's where this story starts. And he was not in Hogwarts. Now you might think, okay, quiet kid, probably had comfortable life, figured it out eventually. No. After graduating, this kid went to work in a warehouse, okay? Waking up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning every single day. 12-hour shifts. Lifting boxes, moving pallets, 8, 10, 12 hours on his feet for $400 a month. No options, no way out, no plan B. In English was not just a subject he had failed. English was a wall between him and every single thing he wanted. Better job, there was a wall. Travel, there was a wall. Meeting new people, there was a wall. Building something new, a wall. Every door he wanted to open had English on the other side of it, and he had nothing. I want you to really pay attention and sit with that for a moment, because I know some of you watching this right now, you know that well. Maybe yours is at work, maybe it's in a classroom, maybe it's just inside of your head every time you try to speak and the words don't come. That wall is real. But what happened next changed everything. Then he opened his eyes. His cousin knew basic English. Not fluent, not perfect, just basic. And she got up one day and moved to the United States. Just like that. And this kid standing at the airport saying goodbye to her had one thought he couldn't shake. He stood there watching her walk through those doors and he thought, wait, is that even possible? You can just learn some English and just see the world? That was it. Yeah, that was the moment. Not a course, not a teacher, not a method. Just one thought, standing in an airport, watching someone he loved choose a bigger life. You can just learn some English and see the world. 4 seconds. That's all it took. And everything changed. Yeah, that kid was me. The quiet one, the warehouse, the 4 a.m. alarms, the 400 a month, the invisible feeling, that was me. And the day I watched my cousin walk through those airport doors, I went home and I started. Not with a course, not with a teacher, not with a plan. I started the only way I knew how. Random YouTube videos, vocabulary lists, music in English, even playing video games in English sometimes. I was even studying for the exams to apply to universities in the US at that time, okay? Was it structured? No. Wasn't I consistent? Not really. But I kept trying. And that kept trying, that messy, imperfect kept trying, is the reason I'm standing here talking to you right now in English on camera, reaching people all over the world. The warehouse kid who barely spoke, but I kept failing. So I started and then I quit. And then I started again and then I quit again. 5 times, at least 5 times, I give up on English completely. I bought programs I never finished, courses I opened once and never opened again, apps I downloaded, used for 3 days and deleted. And one day I decided just to do it, just speak, just try. I walked up to an English native speaker and said the most basic thing I could think of. Nice to meet you. 3 words. And my face went completely red. I could feel the heat. I could feel my heart beating fast. I could feel every single person around me, even though nobody was even looking. And after those 3 words, I couldn't say another one. Not one word. That was the whole conversation. I walked away and I thought, maybe English just isn't for me. And I actually tried to learn French for 4 weeks after that. Not because I wanted to speak French, just to have an excuse to stop speaking English. That's how bad it got. But something in me wouldn't fully quit. So I tried something different. I applied to universities in the United States. How crazy that is. Multiple universities, okay? And something crazy happened. I got accepted, okay? I won scholarships. I'm sitting there holding acceptance letters and scholarship emails thinking, wait, this is actually happening? And then reality hit. I couldn't afford to go. I sat at home with those letters. My parents were upset. Not at me, of course, but for me, which is somehow even worse. And I remember this specific moment of just sitting there thinking, I got accepted to American universities. I won scholarships and I'm still here going nowhere. I thought my life was a failure, pretty much. Not a setback, not a rough path. A failure, pretty much. Complete, total. I thought my life was done, you know. Have you ever felt like that? Like you did everything right and still wasn't enough? That's where I was. And I was just tired. So I quit the warehouse job. No plan, no backup, nothing ready for me on the other side. I just quit because I couldn't do it anymore. It was a nightmare. I couldn't do it anymore. It was something that I didn't want to do at all. And then I spent months doing nothing. Tried to make money online and went nowhere. Still not fluent, still not successful, still anywhere close to the life I had seen my cousin choose at the airport. I wasn't fluent, I wasn't successful, and I had run out of things to try, except one thing. One thing I had been avoiding my entire life. The one thing that terrified me more than the warehouse job, more than the rejection letters, more than every embarrassing English moment I had ever had, okay? I had one last thing left to do, and I kept putting it off because I was terrified of it. What that thing was, that's the next slide. And it pretty much changed my life forever. I tried the one thing I had been avoiding my entire life: showing my face, using my voice, being seen by strangers on the internet in English. So I decided to finally do it. I said, fuck it. I have nothing left to do anyway. That was the one thing I had never tried it. The one thing I had been running from since the day I felt invisible in school. And I remember the exact moment I decided to stop running. I was sitting there, nothing working, nothing moving, nothing changing. And I thought, you know what? I have nothing left to lose anyway. So I picked up my phone, pointed at my face, and pressed record. No script, no plan, no equipment, no experience. Just me, a phone, and nothing left to be afraid of. That video was terrible, of course. I was awkward, my English was broken, I looked uncomfortable in my own skin, and I posted it anyway because I had nothing left to lose. And that one terrible video, that one moment of just doing the thing I was just afraid of, that was the beginning of everything. That was the first action step that I took that changed my life forever. And I didn't think this way at the time. And of course, it was extremely weird to record that first video. It felt completely wrong, you know. My hands were shaking, my voice was shaking. I felt extremely nervous. I wanted to drop my phone at least 4 times, but I just held it tighter. I don't, imagine a guy, an introverted guy, a very shy guy, trying to do something that he had never done in his entire life. He had been avoiding that thing for his entire life and just decided to do it anyway. I felt uncomfortable in every way possible. Well, here's the stranger part. It also felt like the right thing to do. I couldn't explain it at first. I just knew something was different about this. And then it hit me. For the first time in years of trying to learn English, I was not consuming it. I was producing it. I was not absorbing someone else's words. I was finding my own words. And that difference is something no course, no podcast, no vocabulary list had ever given me. Because I spent so many years consuming English every single minute of my entire day. And I had never spoken. And when I finally had hit rock bottom, that's when I decided to do the thing that I had been avoiding my entire life. I mean, look at my face when I was recording my first video ever. You can tell I was like uncomfortable as hell, but I did it anyway because I had no way out. That was the only option that I had at that time. So that's why I decided to do it anyway. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it because I would just be consuming content in English forever. And I thought that was the thing that would make me fluent, but it was not working. I had never felt this way before with English. My whole life, English was something that came in, something I received, something I absorbed, right? Something that lived inside my head but never fully came out. But in front of that camera, I stepped out of that bubble for the first time. I was a creator. I felt like a creator, not a student. And something weird happened. I did something truly uncomfortable. And I actually enjoyed it. Not the result, of course, it was a disaster. The result was terrible, but the act of pushing through the shaking hands and the broken sentences and the awkward pauses, that felt like something. That felt like I was moving for the first time in my life. And for someone who had felt stuck for years, moving felt like everything. So I kept going. For the first time in my life, that was the thing I didn't want to quit. This was the thing I didn't want to quit. And even though the first action step was extremely uncomfortable, like I said, that was the moment that I actually realized, holy cow, I'm doing something uncomfortable for the first time in my life, and now I feel like I'm alive. Even though it was hard, I feel like I'm alive. I feel like I'm actually creating my own words here. I'm not listening to English anymore. I'm not listening to people speaking English in a perfect way and comparing myself to them. I'm actually taking the action and speaking. Even though it's not perfect, I'm actually doing it. It was everything for me at that time. But of course, views were terrible, okay? Let me be honest with you. Nobody watched my videos back then. My last video, 11 views, okay? 11. And I'm pretty sure at least 3 of those were me, okay? I was just watching my own videos just so I can get more views. I was making mistakes every 10 seconds of the video, you know, grammar mistakes, pronunciation mistakes, mistakes I could hear myself making while I was making them. My mom was extremely supportive at that time, and I'm extremely grateful for her because of that. But my dad thought I was stupid, okay? And honestly, maybe he had a point at that time. Here I am, unemployed, no plan, posting English videos on the internet that 11 people watched, and 5 of those people were me. But here's the thing nobody tells you about doing something uncomfortable every single day. You start to enjoy the discomfort a little bit. Not because you're crazy, but because discomfort means you are moving. And I had been still for so long, I was in the same place for so long that even the uncomfortable feeling of 11 views and a dad who thought I was stupid felt better than standing still. So I kept going, and soon enough, something small happened. A breakthrough, okay? Not a big one, not yet, but small enough to change a few things. My first 1,000 subscribers, 1,000 people, 1,000 strangers from around the world who found my videos, understood my English, and decided to stay. I was jumping high, like literally jumping when I saw that number, because 1,000 people was not just a number, it was proof that a warehouse kid from a non English speaking country who gave up 5 times, who turned red saying, "Nice to meet you," who had 11 views on his last video, could be understood in English by the world. 1,000 people said, "Yeah, we hear you, man." And I just sat there thinking, if 1,000 people, if 1,000 is possible, what else is? Because that was only the beginning. And what happened next, I genuinely could have not predicted. And for a guy, an introverted kid that had no friends, had nothing, suddenly have 1,000 people around him, people that enjoyed his content, I felt amazing. So I continued improving. Of course, I was afraid, anxious, and sometimes even a little burned out. I won't lie to you. Putting myself out there, every single day, showing your face, using your voice, Making mistakes in public, it takes something out of you, you know, it drains your energy a lot. But here's the thing, I was also completely on fire because for the first time in my life, I was putting myself out there, not preparing to put myself out there, not almost putting myself out there, actually doing. I jumped on calls with strangers. I recorded more than 20 videos. I kept going when everything in me wanted to stop. And then English stopped being just a skill I was trying to learn. It started changing my actual life. And I couldn't have predicted everything that was gonna happen next. I mean, you can see here, like, I was getting comments like the best talk in the web about English learning. Thank you for everything. That meant a lot to me. I was so pumped. I was so excited that I started to fall in love with this and with the process. And then English changed my life even more. I was at a beach once. Normal day, nothing special happening, okay? A man walked up to me, a businessman approached me at a beach. Turned out he was my cousin's friend, okay? The same cousin who walked through those airport doors and started everything. He was a businessman, like I said, and he offered me an opportunity. We stood there at a beach and had a real conversation, you know, in English, and how I could help his business. Not a perfect conversation, of course, not a fluent conversation, but a real one. And that conversation, that one English conversation at a beach, led to my first real online income. $1,000 a month, all because of my English. I remember standing there after that conversation thinking about the warehouse, the 4:30 a.m. alarms, the $400 a month, the acceptance letter I couldn't use, the 11 YouTube views, and I thought, all of that, every single painful piece of that led to this moment at a beach because of my English and because I kept going. Well, let me show you where I am now. Let me show you where that warehouse kid ended up. Almost 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is crazy. I can't even express in words what that means to me. You know, teaching the exact language I spent years failing to learn. You know, the quietest kid in his entire school now speaks for a living. Crossed $11,000 in sales, which is also crazy, you know, full-time income from English because of English. Personally helped hundreds of students speak English with confidence. And the thing that used to be a wall, that used to block me, the thing that kept me invisible, kept me stuck, kept me lifting boxes at 4:30 in the morning, became the thing that unlocked everything. Every opportunity, every connection, every version of me that actually feels like me. English did that. Not studying it, living it. And it's fascinating to think that a language did that. If it wasn't for English, I would be I would be working in the same warehouse for the rest of my life because English allowed me to dream bigger. English allowed me to see what was possible. So here's the question. What actually separated the warehouse kid from the person standing in front of you right now? It wasn't talent. I had zero natural ability, okay? It wasn't money. I had none. It wasn't the right course or the right teacher or the right app. Here's the only thing that was different, okay? I stopped studying English and I started living inside of it. I didn't become fluent by memorizing words. I became fluent by using them in uncomfortable situations, in front of real people with real consequences before I felt ready, by putting myself out there before I was confident. by speaking before I was perfect, by being seen before I was sure. And I'm the living proof that this works. Look at the before, look at the after. Same person, different order. And everything I just showed you, every lesson, every failure, every uncomfortable moment that moved me forward, that's exactly what I teach. The sequence, the system, the exact path from where you are right now to the version of you that speaks English like it belongs to you, because it does. You just haven't claimed it yet. And that is what the rest of this video is for. So if you're still here, if any of this story felt familiar, keep going. I mean, you can see both images. On the left, it's me working in a warehouse, and on the right, it's me free, doing what I love. And the only thing between those two images, it's English. If it wasn't for English, nothing would be possible. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for English. But here's what I want you to see, because you might be watching this and you might be thinking, but that's his story, that's him, that's not me. So let me show you some other people. Okay, so Owen, for example, Owen was shaking, literally shaking on his first call in English, okay? Like hands trembling, voice disappearing, like the kind of fear that makes you want to close the laptop and never open it again, okay? Today, he has 5 calls every single week with people from all over the world, and he enjoys them, okay? And then there's Sefer, A2 level when we started, barely forming complete sentences, struggling to get through a simple thought in English without falling apart halfway through. And then today, she's speaking every single day, consistently, without stopping. And then Arnaud couldn't speak. Literally, nothing was coming out of his mouth. 10 weeks later, he's speaking with native speakers. He's speaking with anyone he wants, without any fear. And then there's Angeli. Angeli used to delete every English recording she have ever made. When she was about to send me a video so I could give her feedback, she deleted before I saw it. 2 months later, she's taking calls without fear, without deleting. She's even like talking with native speakers, which is crazy, by the way. 4 different people, 4 different countries, 4 different starting points, right? But only one result. And they all used the same system. The same system I'm gonna show you in just a few minutes, okay? It's called the Fluent Achiever System. And is the exact path from where you are right now to speaking English with real confidence, okay? In real situations with real people. Owen used it, Sefer used it, Arnaud used it, Angeli used it, the warehouse kid used it. And in a few minutes, I'm gonna walk you through exactly what it is, okay? So stay with me, because this is where everything you just heard, my story, their stories, actually becomes yours. But before I show you this system, I wanted to be honest about who this actually is for, because it's not for everyone, okay? This is for you if you are somewhere between 20 and 60 years old, okay? You understand English when you hear it, but the moment it's time to speak, something shuts down. This is for you if you are a professional, someone who has real skills, real knowledge, real things to contribute, but English at work holds you back from showing it, right? This is for you if you have tried Netflix, apps, shadowing, courses, and you still feel stuck in exactly the same place. This is for you if you practice alone and you feel okay, right? But the moment a real person shows up to speak with you, everything falls apart. This is for you if you feel like a lesser version of yourself in English, like there's a smarter, funnier, more confident version of you, and it only exists in your native language right now. This is for you if you want to work internationally, okay? Go remote, work from home, or just feel free. If you want language freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, all of it, okay? Sitting on the other side of one skill, you already started building it. Now you just have to master it. And if you're still watching, I think I already know who you are. Because after talking with so many people struggling with English, and also because someone in my community said something that stuck me completely when I read it. They wrote, I cannot unlock myself when I speak English. I have been trying for years and years, but I still freeze every time I try to speak it. Every time I try to open my mouth, it doesn't work. I cannot unlock myself. Read that again. Not, I cannot speak English well. Not, I need better vocabulary. I cannot unlock myself. Because that's what this actually is, right? It's not a language problem. It's a locked version of you that English is keeping trapped. A version of you that has thoughts worth hearing, ideas worth sharing, a personality worth knowing, and is right there, just waiting to be unlocked. And that is exactly what we are going to do next. Now, I need to be straight with you because I respect your time too much to waste it, okay? This is not for everyone, of course. If you are a complete beginner with zero English background, A1 level, this is not your first step. You need foundations first. And I have other videos for that. If you want more grammar lessons and vocabulary drills, this is not for you because we don't do that here. If you are not willing to speak before you feel ready, this is not for you because feeling ready first is exactly the trap that keeps people stuck for years. Let's be honest. If you want to consume more content and call it study, this is not for you. And if you're not serious about 90 days of real work, please you can just close this video. Like go watch something easier because what I'm about to show you is not comfortable. It's not passive and it doesn't work if you are only half in. But if you are still here, if you are nodding right now, yeah, let's do it, then you are exactly who this is for. And what I'm about to tell you is going to explain everything. So let me show you something that is going to be a little bit uncomfortable to hear. You have been training for a performance you never give. Read that again. Training for a performance you never give. Okay? You have years of input, Netflix, podcasts, shadowing, YouTube, music, hours and hours and hours of English going into your brain and almost zero structure, zero real-time output with real human beings. You have been practicing for a concert you never play, rehearsing for a match you never enter, studying for an exam you never take. And then you wonder, why am I not fluent yet? What is wrong with me? Is there something wrong with me? No, of course you're not fluent. Fluency is not something that builds up inside you from listening. It's something that comes out of you through speaking in real situations with real people in real time. You have been doing one half of the work, only one, and wondering why you only have half of the result. And I know what you think the problem is, because I thought the same things. You think it's your vocabulary, so you consume more videos, more podcasts, more words going in, trying to memorize words every single day. You think it's your grammar. So what do? You study more rules, more exercises, more lessons. I mean, you can already tell if this is you or not, right? You think it's your motivation and consistency. I'm just tired, I'll start again on Monday. Or the one that really hurts. You think it's you. It's just not for me. I'm an introvert. My brain doesn't work that way. English is for other people. It's not for me. I believed every single one of those things at some point. And every single one of them was wrong. Because none of those things are the real problem. And until you see the real problem, nothing you try is going to work. So here's the truth. 4 real problems. And none of them are the ones I just listed. Number one, perfectionism. You are trying too hard to be perfect. Every time you open your mouth, you edit yourself before the word even comes out. You hear the mistake before you make it, so you don't speak. And silence feels safer than being imperfect. But silence is not safe. Silence is the thing that's keeping you stuck forever. Number two, consumer identity. Deep down right now, you still see yourself as someone who's learning English, not someone who speaks it. And that story you tell yourself controls everything you do every single time, okay? You consume because consumers consume. You don't speak because speakers speak. And you haven't decided you are a speaker yet. That's the main problem. Number three, no real feedback loop. You practice alone in your room every single day with nobody to tell you what's actually wrong. I mean, I was one of those people, right? Because I was just trying to be comfortable. I didn't have the courage to show up and show people what I was doing wrong. So you repeat the same mistakes every single time, every single day, and call it practice. Real improvement needs real feedback from real people in real time. That's how you fix mistakes. And number four, a vague goal. You want to become fluent, but what does that mean to you? By when and what situations? A vague goal creates inconsistent effort. Inconsistent effort creates passive consumption, okay? And passive consumption, as we already established, feels like progress, but is not. These four things, not your vocabulary, not your grammar, not your personality, these four things are what's actually standing between you and the English you want. And the system I'm about to show you, well, was built to destroy all of them. Now, why everything failed? So let's be completely honest here, okay, about why everything you have tried before didn't work. Not because you were lazy, not because you were stupid, because the approach was broken from the beginning, okay? First, you never had an emotionally connected goal. Not, I want to be fluent, that means nothing. I mean, a real reason, a specific moment you were working toward, a person you wanted to speak to, a job you wanted, a life you could actually picture. Without that, effort has no direction. And the effort with no direction always dies. Second, all input, not output. Years of English going in, almost nothing coming out. You built a library and never opened the door. Third, no feedback on your actual speaking. You practice in silence alone in your room with nobody to tell what was actually wrong. So the mistakes repeated every single day and you call it practice. Fourth, perfectionism. Every real conversation destroyed before it started because you edit yourself before the words came out. You heard the mistakes before you made it, and silence felt safer. And fifth, and this one is the most important, I would say, okay? You optimize for feeling productive, not for being effective. Watching a video felt like studying. Finishing a podcast felt like progress. And it felt good. It felt like movement. It felt like you're moving. But feeling like you are improving and actually improving are two completely different things. And you have been chasing that feeling for months or maybe even years. Now, I want to show you something that makes all of this even more urgent, okay? Because this is not just about feeling confident in conversations anymore. The world changed, okay? And it changed fast, all right? Remote work is the new normal. Know what I mean? And it runs in English. Every remote work, every international team, every Zoom call with people across 5 countries, you need English. The highest paying opportunities in the world, you need English. Tech, finance, media, education, every global industry that pays well, you need English to get in the door. And here's the one that I really want you to feel, okay? The gap between you right now and your English speaking version It's also a money gap. No English, one salary. With English, a complete different ceiling, different opportunities, different income, different life. That gap is real, and I want you to believe it. It's measurable, and it gets wider every single year you stay where you are. The world is not waiting. So this is urgent now. This is not about, oh, I will become fluent next year or in 2 years. This is about now. You have to move quick. And here's what makes this moment in history so extraordinary. Okay? You have tools available to you right now that didn't exist 5 years ago. AI conversations partners, real-time conversations practice on demand from your bedroom for free, by the way. There has never been a better time in history to become fluent in English. Let's be honest. Never. The barriers are lower than they have ever been. The resources are bigger than they have ever been. The opportunities waiting on the other side are larger than they have ever been. The only thing stopping you right now is a system. You don't have a system, right? You have content, you have effort, you have desire, but you don't have a system. And that is the only thing standing between you and everything you just heard right now. And here's the one truth that separates the people who become fluent from the people who stay stuck forever. Becoming fluent requires four things, okay? Real output, real feedback, real challenge, and identity work. No more content, no more grammar, no more motivation videos. Those four things. No native speakers all over the world are working incredibly hard to improve their English. Genuinely hard, hours every day, but they see no progress. Not because they're not trying, but because they don't have a system that gives them those four things. That is exactly what the Fluent Achiever Fluency was built to do. And that is what I'm going to show you right now. So I need to tell you something. I didn't build this system by sitting down one day and designing it. I found it by accident, out of desperation. When I picked up that phone and started recording videos, I wasn't thinking about systems or methods or frameworks. I was just a warehouse kid with nothing left to lose. But something was happening underneath the surface that I didn't fully understand yet. Every video I posted, I was speaking in public. Every comment I got, I was getting feedback on my real English. Every week I showed up, I was producing, not consuming. And I started to notice something. My English was not just getting better, it was getting better faster than it ever had in 2 years of traditional study. The desperate act of posting videos accidentally became the fastest path to fluency I had ever found. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it anymore. So I started working with students, one at a time. At first, then in small groups, then a community. And here's what I found with every person I worked with, okay? Same problem every time, without exception. Tons of input, almost no output. A full library and a locked door. But here's what happened the moment we unlocked that door. The moment each student started producing, but really producing, speaking aloud, getting feedback, being in real conversations with real people, everything changed. Not gradually, not slowly, everything fast. Because they all discovered the same core truth. The thing that was missing was never more English going in. It was English coming out. And once it started coming out, there was no going back. I mean, look at these faces, okay? These are real people who were exactly where you are right now. I mean, stuck, frustrated, wondering if it was ever going to click. And it did. For all of them, using the same system. The one I'm about to show you right now. Okay, this is the moment. The Fluent Achiever system. 3 core things, that's it. Not 10 steps, not 100 lessons, not years of preparation, okay? 3 phases. Phase 1, the start. This is where we destroy the 4 blockers. We give you a real goal. We flip your identity from consumer to producer. We get your first real output happening fast. Then phase 2, fluency. This is where the real work lives, where you build the speaking muscle, where you stop translating and start thinking, where the threshold appears. And then phase 3, communication. This is where it becomes real. Real conversations, real feedback, real situations. The English your life actually needs, not textbook English, your English. 3 phrases built to destroy every single thing that have been keeping you stuck forever, pretty much. And we are starting right now, okay? So get ready. So stay right here because what comes next is the part that actually changes everything. So let's do this. Let's begin. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? Week 1, phase 1, okay? Diagnose the English problem. And I need you to understand something before we start, okay? Most people jump straight into studying, straight into practicing, straight into doing things without even stopping to ask what is actually wrong, right? And that is exactly why they are stuck. That's exactly why they still stuck. Because if you cannot see the enemy, you can fight it, right? You cannot fight it. If you cannot see the goal, you cannot reach it. If both are invisible, you literally don't know what to do. So before we do anything else, we are going to see what is the problem. And there's 5 steps and we do this in just 1 week. So let's do this. Okay, so first question is very simple. Why do you want to speak English? I mean, really, think about it for a second, okay? And if your answer was something like, because it's useful, or because my teacher told me to, I mean, I needed to go deeper, right? Much deeper. Because here's the truth. And it might be uncomfortable, but it is the truth. Most people quit learning English not because it's hard, okay? They quit because they never found a real reason to keep going. That's the real truth. And the moment things get uncomfortable, which they will, okay? I guarantee you that. A weak reason disappears and you give up very easily. The real answer, the one that actually keeps people going, is almost always one of 3 things: freedom, belonging, or proving something to someone, even to yourself. So let me show you how to find yours, okay? We are going to do something called the 5 whys. It works like this. You ask why 5 times, each time going deeper than before. Watch. I want to speak English. Why? Because I want a better job. Why? Because I want to earn more money. Why? Because I want my family to have a better life. Why? Because I grew up watching my parents struggle and I don't want that for my kids. That is a deep reason. Okay? That last answer, that is your real why. Not English, not a job, not money. That moment you just reached, that feeling, that is what gets you out of bed on the days you don't want to practice. And I want you to do this exercise right now. Maybe you can pause this video and just do it for a few minutes and write it down right now. Seriously, pause this video, like I said, and write it, okay? Because everything we build from here, everything sits on the top of that answer. If you don't know that answer, you are gonna fail at some point because it's a journey, right? As we established before, learning English is a journey. It's a process that takes time. And if you don't have that reason established in the beginning, you will not start in the right way. Now, let's keep going because we're gonna cover a lot. And this is gonna be extremely valuable. Now, here's something most English programs never do. They never ask to name the specific moment English broke you. But I do because I have to. Let me show you why. On one of my first coaching calls, I had a student named Daniel. Okay. Daniel came in saying, I just cannot speak English. I freeze. Very generic, very vague, right? So I asked him, did you have a specific moment, a moment when English embarrassed you in real life? And he went quiet for a moment and then he told me his class had laughed at him when he tried to speak English in front of everyone. They laughed. That was it. That was the enemy. That was the real enemy. Not his vocabulary, not his grammar. A room full of people laughing at him when he was 12 years old. And his brain had been protecting him from that moment ever since. And then there was Luna. Luna was judged at work for her English. One comment from a colleague, one moment, just one, and she stopped speaking in meetings completely. Owen, for example, feared being seen as incompetent. Three different people, three different enemies, but the same result. They stopped speaking because of those moments. And here's what nobody tells you. When someone laughs at you or at your English, you start thinking your English is bad. And when you think your English is bad, you stop speaking it. And when you stop speaking it, you lose motivation. And when you lose motivation, you stop making progress. One embarrassing moment makes you stay silent for years. And that's the enemy. And you cannot fight something you haven't named. If you don't know what it is, how can you fight it? So, what is your moment? Where did it happen? Who was there? Like, what did they say? Name it, write it down. And I suggest you to reflect on that so you can find that answer because, of course, it's not easy. It might have happened in the past. It might be happening right now. But you have to reflect on it to actually find that answer because that's one of the most important things that you can do in the beginning. Because I want you to start fighting right now, this week. That's how you become fluent in the long term, by fighting these moments that English broke you. Okay, so this might actually surprise some of you, okay? And honestly, it surprised me too when I first figured it out, okay? So, quick question. When you are speaking your native language, do you ever pause, lose your train of thought, forget what you're going to say mid sentence? Be honest. If yes, you have two separate problems. Number one, English. Number two, communication itself. And those two problems need to be fixed differently, okay? Now, if your answer is no, if you are completely fluent and confident in your native language but fall apart in English, then it's just English, right? Pure and simple. Here's why this matters. Some people think they have an English problem when actually they have a communication problem that exists in every language. And no amount of English practice fixes a communication problem. The good news, we handle both right here in this system, English and communication, because one without the other is like fixing the engine and forgetting the wheels. Now, let's move on to the identity declaration. Stop saying, I'm learning English. Start saying, I speak English every day. I know, it sounds small, it sounds basic, it sounds like it's not gonna make a huge difference. It is not small, okay? Here's what is happening in your brain when you say, I'm learning English. You are a student, a beginner, someone on the way, someone not there yet. And students consume, students study, students wait until they are ready. But when you say, I speak English every day, you are a speaker. Your thoughts change, your feelings change. The way you act changes. I see so many people online trying to quote learning English. And of course, they never become fluent because they never stopped being a learner and started being a speaker. So here's your homework for step 4. Write it down, say it out loud. Put it in your phone bio if you have to, or in your home screen, or anywhere else on your phone. I speak English every single day. Say it right now out loud. I speak English every single day. Seriously, say it, okay? Because that sentence, as simple as it sounds, is the beginning of a completely different identity. Okay, here's the one that people either love or hate, okay? Your native language is a shortcut. And your brain, being the lazy genius it is, will always take the shortcut if it's available. Always. No question asked. So we remove the shortcut. Think about it like cookies. If you are trying to stop eating sugar and your house is full of cookies, you're going to eat the cookies. Not because you are weak, but because they are right there, available. It's easy to get them, right? Your native language is the cookies. So get rid of the cookies. Every source of information you can access in English, you switched to English. Okay? So 5 things. Number 1 is content. YouTube, social media, everything you watch. It has to be in English. Okay? Number 2, text. Every piece of text you see every day, phone notifications, notes on your wall, stick notes, everything, it has to be in English. Number 3, devices. Phone, laptop, tablet, all of it. It has to be in English. You have to change to English right now. Number 4, work. Anything you can do in English at work, you do in English. And number 5, and this is the biggest one, okay? You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That is not a motivation quote. That is how the brain actually works. If the 5 people around you don't speak English, your brain has no reason to. But if you surround yourself with people who speak English every single day, your brain starts to think, this is just what we do. Which brings me to something I built specifically for this. Because removing your native language only works if you replace it with something. You can just get rid of the cookies and eat nothing, right? You need something to eat instead. That is why I created English Achievers, a community where you immerse yourself in English every single day with no native speakers, advanced speakers, even sometimes native speakers, on calls, in chats, in real conversations. 1,400 members already doing this. And since you want to become fluent this year and you are serious about it, I'm offering you the chance to join for free. The link is in the description, by the way. Click it, come in, immerse yourself deeper because the people inside that community are your new 5 people. And who you become depends entirely on who you surround yourself with. Okay, that was phase 1, week 1. 5 steps. You found your why, you named your enemy, you diagnosed your actual problem, you declared your new identity, and you locked down your environment. That is not studying, that is being precise, okay? And phase 2, which starts next week, is where we actually start building the weapon. So stay with me because we are about to move on to the next step. Week 1 is done. You know your why, you named your enemy, you declared your identity, you locked down your environment. Now, weeks 2 through 5. And this is where most English programs completely lose the plot. Because most programs say, consume first, speak second, or let's be honest, never speak. we do the opposite, okay? Output is the English practice, not preparation for practice, not a reward after practice, the practice itself. And we start without speaking to a single person yet. Because before you fight in the ring, you need to throw some punches first, right? So, 4 steps, let's go. Okay, so let's start with step one. Stop consuming and do this instead. Tomorrow morning, your alarm goes off. And the first thing you normally do, you grab your phone and you scroll. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's YouTube Shorts. And I know, some of you are thinking, but João, I follow English accounts. It's in English. It counts. No, it doesn't count. And you know it. Scrolling is scrolling. It doesn't matter what language the dopamine hits are in. Here's what you're gonna do instead. Tomorrow morning, before an email, before social media, before anything, you grab your phone. Simple, right? You already do that. You open your camera and you speak in English for 10 minutes minimum. That's it. It can be more if you want. Out loud to nobody, just you and your voice. 10 minutes, that's it. Now, I know what you are thinking. 10 minutes of what? I don't know what to say. We will get into that in step two. But first, why the morning specifically? Because your brain is the sharpest in the first 1 to 3 hours after waking. This is biology, by the way. I'm not saying this just because I think it's the truth. This is not motivation, not a productivity hack. Your dopamine is at its baseline in the morning, which means it's the perfect time to do hard, focused work. The kind of work that actually builds a skill. I mean, look at this dopamine graphic, right? Peaks from scrolling, from junk food, from easy entertainment. It costs us a lot. They drain you, they make everything else feel boring. But building steady dopamine through real effort, real progress, and real wins, that compounds over time. So here's the rule from now on: speak in the morning, learn, and have fun in the evening. Morning, when your brain is sharp, output. Evening, when you want to relax, consume. Not the other way around. So the real question everyone asks pretty much: what do I speak about? Okay, Joan, I open the camera, I press record, and then nothing. What do I say? Well, there's 3 options, and you can pick any one. Rotate between them if you want as well. Option 1, speak about what you consumed yesterday. You watched a video last night, you listened to a podcast, you read something, talk about it out loud in English. What was it about? What surprised you? What did you agree with? What didn't make sense? Simple. You already have the material. You just have to open your mouth. Option 2, document your life out loud. This one is probably my personal favorite because I used to do a few years ago when I was trying to improve my speaking skills even more than I am right now. You just woke up, your coffee is almost ready, the sun is coming in. So you just say, I just woke up and now I'm going to make coffee and then I have a meeting at 9 and honestly, I'm a little tired because, and you just keep going, right? Very simple. You just document your life. Instead of writing on a journal, you can just speak out loud. That's it. Your life in English out loud. Very simple, right? It sounds so stupid because it's so simple. And that's the point. You don't need a topic. You already lived your day. So just narrate it. And then option 3, speak about yesterday. Yesterday I did this. Then I went to this place. And something interesting happened when I did this. You're not performing. You're not being graded. You are just a person talking in English. So let me simulate all 3, okay? So first one, let's imagine that I watched a video about how to become a better speaker yesterday. So I'm just gonna talk about what I learned from that video or what surprised me the most. So you just ask simple questions. So let's say I answer the question, what surprised me the most about that video? Well, what surprised me most about that video is that speaking is not only about what you speak, but how you speak it. If you want to speak really well, you have to move your hands. You have to have a better body language. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to express yourself in an amazing way. So you have to learn how to incorporate and how to manage your body as you speak. Otherwise, you're not going to sound very convincing or persuasive if you want to. Just an example, right? I just expressed what I found really surprising about the video that I watched last night. So let's try number two. Let's say I'm walking outside right now. Okay, so I'm walking outside, I'm just walking and, just getting some sunlight. Look, there's a guy walking a dog. Look, the dog is very, very, very tiny. I probably wouldn't have a dog like that because I like big dogs. So yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, that's the school I went to. Yeah, man, great memories. I used to study here every single day. Yeah, amazing memories. I had so many friends. Now I don't have a lot of friends. You know what I mean? This kind of stuff that you can just narrate your life out loud when you are surrounded with so many things around you. You can just like look at stuff and just talk about it. And then let's try number three. Number three is you're just gonna explain what you did yesterday. If you did something amazing, like for example, yesterday I went to the gym, I had an amazing workout and then I came back home and I actually was not feeling really good. So I just lay down and I slept for like 8 hours after going to the gym for like two. So it wasn't a very productive day, but I actually had a lot of fun because going to the gym is one of my passions. Simple, right? You just think about what you did yesterday and you just talk about it. That's how you do it. So you just pick one, press record, and you speak for 10 minutes. That's it. That's very simple. Every single morning you do that. Now, let's move on to step three, and this is called vocabulary activation. Now, after you consume content in the evening, I want you to write down 2 to 3 words. Just the words, that's it. But here's the rule that changes everything. Do not translate them. Do not translate them. This is very important. I know. Every instinct in your brain is screaming right now. But how do I know what it means if I don't translate it? You learn what it means in English. Simple, okay? Look it up in English, read the English definition, see it used in English examples. Because here's what's been happening in your entire English learning life. You learn 100% of your English by translating. Every word you know in English, you know because you connect it to your native language first. And that connection, that translation bridge, that is exactly why you freeze when you speak. Because when you want to say something, your brain goes, thought in your native language, translate, English word, say it. That takes time you don't have in a real conversation. So we break the bridge. Delete Google Translate right now if you have it on your phone. Or I don't even know if you can delete it, but don't use it anymore, okay? I'm serious. Don't use it anymore. Just stop using it as your first move. Because every time you translate, you are reinforcing a habit that is quietly destroying your fluency, and you don't even know. Learn English in English, okay? Find the meaning in English, write a sentence using the word in English, say it out loud in English. Look, for example, June 27th, 3 words, downside, meaning, echo, meaning, synergy, meaning. Just the words and their English meanings. No native language, no translation. And then June 28th, bottleneck, meaning, asymmetry, meaning, friction, meaning. 2 to 3 words a day, that's 20 to 40 words a month. Not from a list, from content you actually watched. Words you already heard in context. Words your brain already started to recognize. Now you are activating them. And then we move to step 4. the English evening morning loop. Okay, now let me show you how all of this connects, okay? Because these are not four separated steps, they are a loop. And once you see the loop, it runs itself. Here's how it works. In the evening, of course, you watch 20 plus minutes of long form content you actually care about. Not shorts, not reels, not 3-minute videos. Long form. 20 minutes minimum, okay? You can watch it for an hour, for 2 hours, but it has to be at least 20 minutes. Why? Because your brain needs enough time inside a conversation, a story, an idea to actually absorb the patterns. Short clips give you dopamine, long videos give you language. And while you watch, you take 5 to 10 notes. Not summaries, not transcripts, actually notes. Just anything that triggered a thought, a phrase that sounded cool, an idea that surprised you, a word you didn't know, a sentence structure you had never seen before. 5 to 10 things, okay, in your notes. And then you go to sleep. And then in the morning, you wake up, you open those notes, and you speak about them for 10 minutes out loud on camera. Evening, consume, take notes. Morning, open notes, speak. Evening, consume, take notes. Morning, open notes, speak. Every single day. You never have to think about what to say because last night you already did the thinking. You just have to open your mouth. This loop does something that most people spend years trying to find. It turns passive consumption into active production. It turns watching into speaking. It turns entertainment into training. And it takes combined about 30 minutes a day. That's the loop. Weeks 2 through 5. Every single day. And there's no people yet involved. No pressure yet. Just you building the weapon before you enter the room. That is how you tripled your output by yourself. Because in week 6, the room shows up and you're going to be ready. Okay, weeks 2 through 5 done, right? You've been speaking every morning, you've been running the loop, you've been activating vocabulary without translating, you have been building the weapon alone. And here's the truth about practicing alone, it works, it really works. But it has one limit that you cannot get around no matter how consistent you are. Your brain doesn't break the translation habit from practicing alone. Read that again. Your brain doesn't break the translation habit from practicing alone. Practicing alone never fully breaks the translation habit because when there's no pressure, your brain takes its time. It translates, it searches slowly, it self corrects before the word even comes out. And that feels fine because nobody is waiting. The translation habit only breaks when real time interaction makes translation too slow. When a real person is looking at you right now, waiting for your response, and your brain has no choice. It has to find the word now without translating, without preparing. And that moment, that pressure is what rewires everything. This is the phase that actually changes how English feels. Not just how much you know, how it feels. Okay? So let's get into it because this is about to change your life forever. Find consistent speaking partners. Now, before we go and download a random conversation app, I need to warn you about something. Random calls get repetitive fast, right? They get old fast. And you know what happens on most random speaking apps? Same small talk, every single call, forever, right? Where are you from? Oh, nice. What do you do? Cool. What's the weather like there? And then silence. The conversation never moves on to something more interesting. And then you both say, okay, it was nice talking to you. And you learn absolutely nothing. Because real progress doesn't come from random strangers you will never talk to again. Real progress comes from people you actually connect with, people you want to talk to, people who show up again next week and push you further than you went last time. Consistency beats randomness, right? Every single time. So, how do you find these people? The question that matters. How do you find them? Two ways, okay? And I'm gonna walk you through both. So let's do this. Here's how you find them. Step two: comment, chat, call. In that order, okay? Do not change the order every single time. This is how you turn strangers into speaking partners without it being weird. Step one: comment. Find communities you actually like, places where people talk about things you care about, English learning communities, hobby groups, professional groups, places people talk about things you care about. And when someone posts something interesting, you write 2 to 3 genuine sentences in response. Not great post. Not thanks for sharing. No. 2 to 3 real sentences. Your actual opinion, your actual reaction. That's it. And here's the formula for those sentences. I call it AAA. Acknowledge, add, and ask. That's it. Acknowledge what they said, add your own opinion or experience, ask the question. That's it. Someone posts about struggling to speak English in meetings. You comment, I totally get this. I used to freeze every time my name was called in a meeting. What helped me was speaking for just 2 minutes every morning before work. Have you tried any kind of speaking routine before? See that? Acknowledge, add, ask. Three things, one comment. Now, they want to respond to you. Step two, chat. After a few interactions, when it feels natural, you DM them. And here's exactly how. You ask a follow up, you keep it casual. Something like, hey, I remember you left a comment about struggling with English at work. How's it going with that? Simple, right? Very simple. They respond, you use AAA again. Acknowledge what they said, add something from your own experience, and then ask if they want to jump on a call with you. Very simple. So look at this example. Natural, human, no script that sounds like a robot wrote it, right? So just one person reaching out to another person about something they both care about. So again, you're gonna find a reason to message them. For example, hey Joel, I remember you left a comment about this. How's it going with that? And then acknowledge, add, and ask. That's great, man. I also like this. My favorite part about it is this. Do you want to connect on a call and talk about it? Simple, right? So this is the example, but a little bit different. So you get the point, right? It's very simple to connect with people and to message them. And then step three, the call. 15 minutes minimum, okay? No script, no one word answers. Just show up and talk. And speaking of the best place to find these people, by the way, English Achievers, the community I created, has 1,400 members right now doing exactly this, okay? Professionals, learners, people at every single level, showing up to practice, connect, and push each other every single day. Push each other forward to become a better person, to become a better human being, not only to become fluent. And it's free to join, by the way. Link, it's in the description. Because finding speaking partners is the hardest part of this whole system, let's be honest. And inside English Achievers, you already have people waiting for you to do that. So it's a no-brainer. You just join and you become what you always wanted to become. Now, let's move on to how to do a call, which is very important as well, right? Step three is called the energy baseline before calls. Okay, you found your speaking partner. The call, it's in 10 minutes. And you are sitting there, a little bit nervous, a little bit stiff. You don't even know what to do. Energy at maybe 40%, right? And you think, that's fine. I will warm up during the call. No, you won't. Let's be honest. You cannot walk into a call at 40% energy and expect flow and confidence. That's not gonna happen. It doesn't work like that. I mean, think about a singer before a concert. Do they walk on stage cold, straight from sitting in a choir room, and expect their voice to perform? No. I mean, think about Michael Jackson, for example. Do you think he was just sitting there before walking out and doing his concert? Of course not. He warmed up, he prepared himself. So that's what most singers do. They warm up backstage, they move their body, they get their voice going, they build their energy before the performance starts, right? And you need to do the same thing 5 to 10 minutes before every call. And you do that with three things at the same time. One, music, something that makes you feel good, something with energy. And play around, you can listen to anything that you think is gonna make you feel excited. Two, push-ups or jumping jacks or just shake, your body. Get your blood going. This is one of the most important ones, okay? And then three, speak out loud. While the music is playing and your heart is pumping, talk about anything. Your morning, the weather, something funny that happened yesterday. It takes 5 minutes. And you do it, and you can do all three at once. Yes, you will look completely insane doing this. Yes, it works. It doesn't matter if you look stupid or you look insane. It works. And that's how you achieve fluency faster. Your voice will be warmer. Your brain is faster. Your energy is higher. And that energy, that physical state you walk into the call with, changes your confidence completely. Not a little, completely. Okay? So just try it once and you will never start a call without it again. So let's move on to the next point, and that is step 4. What do I speak about? Okay, you warmed up, you are on the call, and now the most common fear kicks in. What do we actually talk about for 15 minutes? There's 3 tools, okay? You keep all 3 in your back pocket before you join the call, as you join the call, forever. 2-1 time challenges. This is my favorite because it sounds a little crazy until you try it. Before the call, you and your partner agree on a challenge. Convince me to visit your country in 3 minutes. Explain how the internet works to a 10-year-old in 5 minutes. Or, and this is a classic by the way, sell me this pen. You have 2 minutes. Go. By the way, I came up with this and we did it in one of our group calls inside of our community, and it was amazing, okay? And I discovered this trick once I watched a movie called The Wolf of Wall Street. It was an amazing trick, and I thought, okay, maybe I can use that with English and create a challenge. And it was amazing. It was really funny. So you're just gonna get a pen, and you're just gonna pretend that someone is asking you to sell it to them. And you're just gonna pretend that you are trying to sell that pen to that person. So most people would be like this. Okay, so this pen is really good, you can write it down, it's very comfortable, it doesn't hurt your fingers or anything, so you can just write more smoothly, right? Most people would say that, but just try to be creative with it. And it doesn't need to be a pen, of course, it can be anything that you want. But today, just let's take a pen as an example, okay? So just be creative. Okay, so this pen right here is 400 years old. It was used by kings in the past. And the value of this pen right here, it's unimaginable. When you get your hands on it, you will feel how comfortable it is. You're gonna write it down and you're gonna see how your writing just flows and how you can write words much faster. It feels amazing, right? So if you really need a pen, so if you're looking for a pen, this one will not disappoint you. But of course, you need to ask the person first if they actually want to buy a pen, because if they don't want to, how are they going to buy it? It doesn't matter what you tell them, they're not going to buy it because they don't need a pen. So that's how the game works. You can be creative, and it's amazing and really funny to play with. So like I said, we did that inside our community, and it was amazing. So if you want to try it out with so many people around you, you can definitely join our community and try it out because it's going to be really cool, okay? And I know it sounds like a game because it is a game, right? That's the point. But here's what's happening underneath that game. You are speaking under pressure with a timer. in real time with zero preparation. And that's the point, right? And when practice is harder than real conversation, guess what happens? I'm gonna give you a few seconds. Well, real conversation starts to feel easy. The gym is harder than the game. The rehearsal is harder than the performance. Make practice harder and reality becomes simple. 2-2. So, tool number 2, the speaking goal. Before every call, decide what you're going to talk about. Don't just show up and hope. Look at the person's profile. Look at what they have posted. Find one thing they care about. And then when you get on a call, say it immediately. Hey, I saw you mentioned you love traveling. Can we talk about that today? Done. Topic locked. Silence eliminated. People love talking about things they love. You just gave them permission to do it. And while they are talking, you are practicing listening, responding, following in English in real time. Tool number 3, the simple call structure. When all else fails, follow the structure. 1, small talk. How's it going? Where are you from? 2 minutes max. 2, open questions. One big question that cannot be answered with yes or no. Why did you start learning English? Or what is the hardest part of speaking for you? Now they are talking. Now you are listening and responding. They cannot respond just with a yes or no, right? So it's easy to keep the conversation going. Question 3, whatever they say, you follow it. They mention their job, you ask about it. They mention a place, you ask about it. You're not interviewing them. You're just curious, right? And people love when you get curious about their lives. Genuinely curious. And curious people never run out of things to say. And then 4, and strong. This was a great call. Same time next week? Done. 4 steps every call. You will never sit in awkward silence. So, weeks 6 through 9, this is the phase that separates the people who stay stuck from the people who crosses the threshold. Because you can know every rule of English. You can have the best vocabulary, the best grammar, the best pronunciation. But if you never put yourself in real conversations with real people under pressure, I'm sorry, you will never feel fluent. Fluency is not something you learn, it's something you unlock in the room with another person in real time. And you have to accept this because if you don't, I'm sorry, you will never become fluent or it's going to take you years. And you now have everything you need to walk into that room and just speak. Phase 3 is next. And that is where everything that you just built gets taken to a level most English learners never reach. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into weeks 10 and 11. And I need to start with something that makes me genuinely angry, okay? You know what most English programs say at this point? Take a guess. Just be confident. Just be confident. I mean, isn't that crazy? As if you hadn't thought of that already. As if you woke up one day and thought, you know what? I would just choose to not be nervous today. Probably problem solved. Well, it doesn't work like that, right? And you know this. We don't do this here. We don't tell you to feel something different. We murder the thing that's causing the feeling. 4 blockers, 4 weapons to destroy them. Let's get into it. Okay, so blocker number 1. It's called grammar. Here we go, right? Quick question. When you say she were, does it feel wrong? Of course it does. But why? Did you sit down one day and memorize the rule that she takes was, not were? Probably not, right? It feels wrong because you have heard she was approximately 10,000 times. Your brain absorbed the pattern, and now everything else sounds like nails on a chalkboard. That's how grammar actually works. Not rules you memorize, patterns you absorb, you encounter it, use it, repeat it until it becomes automatic. Grammar rules are training wheels. And training wheels don't make you a better cyclist. They just stop you from falling until you are brave enough to go without them. That's the most important thing. And at some point, you have to take the wheels off. And that point is right now. Stop studying grammar rules. Start absorbing patterns. That's the point, and that's the best decision that you can make right now. The rule: encounter, use, repeat. That's it. Forever. Now, blocker number 2. Let me tell you what perfectionism actually is, okay? Because most people think perfectionism means I want to be better than everyone else, or I want to reach perfection. No. Perfectionism is fear of judgment. Wearing a costume. It's not ambition. It's not high standards. It's just you are afraid of making mistakes in front of people. That's it. That's what perfectionism is. Nothing else. And I'm going to give you 3 weapons to destroy it. Because perfectionism might be one of the biggest blockers when it comes to become fluent. Anti-perfectionism weapon 1. Embrace terrible English. Yeah, seriously. Embrace shitty English. Next time you are on a call with a friend, pretend you are stupid. I'm serious. Like, pretend that you are stupid. Speak the worst English you possibly can. Wrong grammar, horrible accent, made up words, sentences that go nowhere. Make it a competition. Who can say something more ridiculous? I'm serious, by the way. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. Because here's what happens: the moment you try to speak badly, you realize something. Nothing bad happens. I'm going to say that again. Nothing bad happens. Nobody runs away. Nobody laughs. The world doesn't end. And your brain files that information away. Oh, mistakes don't kill me. Interesting. You beat perfectionism by not being serious. I mean, you just gotta be like this, like Patrick Star. You just gotta be stupid as hell on purpose in order to beat perfectionism. Like, don't you get it? You beat perfectionism by not being serious. That's the first anti-perfectionism tip. Embrace shitty English. I mean, you can just like go on a call with a friend and just start speaking the baddest English you have ever heard in your life. You can say she were instead of she was, or you can say the book is in the table or at a table, not on the table. You can say the most basic things in a wrong way. That's how you start caring less about being perfect. And that's how you beat perfectionism once and for all. I mean, I'm not telling you to be like salivating on a call, like, I'm stupid, I'm stupid. No, not like this. This is exaggerating, of course. So you just gotta make mistakes on purpose. Now, anti-perfectionism weapon 2, okay? Destroy waiting until ready. Every time you think, I would do the job interview when my English is better. I'll record the video when I feel more confident. I will join the call when I'm ready. I want you to write that down. And then ask yourself one question. Is English actually blocking this? Or is it just an excuse? In almost every case, your English level is not the real blocker, okay? Let's be honest. Your English level is not the real blocker. Fear is the blocker. Wearing an English costume. Interview in English, just take it. It's the best speaking practice you will ever get, literally. So why don't just take it? Recording your first video in English, just do it. I promise you, it will be better than you think. Take me as an example. I avoided for so long to record myself on camera, to record myself speaking English. And once I did, I just realized that it was one of the best speaking practice ever. And it was one of the main things that made me fluent. Maybe even your first sales call in English. Why don't you just do it? You were going to need 1,000 more anyway to get good at it. So you might as well just start today. Real risk forces real output. This is better than any exercise I can teach you. Pursue the goal now, and the English follows. I mean, I was working with a client that he was always waiting for the perfect moment to actually start. Even when he was already almost fluent in English, he was always telling himself, okay, when I become fluent, when I achieve a certain level, then I will pursue what I always wanted to pursue. Well, guess what? He will never get to that point because he's always telling himself, okay, I can be better, I can be better, I can be better. And only when I achieve this level, I will start pursuing my goal. But guess what happened? He never actually pursued that goal because he never was satisfied with this level of English, which was already amazing. And he could just start following that dream that he had as he was improving his English. That's how he would achieve that goal faster, and at the same time, he would improve his English as well. But he didn't because he was always trying to get to a level first before starting to pursue that goal. That's why when I was talking with him, I told him that. And that's how I push him to pursue that goal, no matter if he failed, no matter if he was bad. He just did it. And that's how he became fluent even faster. And that's how he achieved the goal that he wanted to achieve even faster. So you don't need to wait for a specific level. You just have to do it no matter what. And that's how you achieve fluency and you achieve your goal faster. Now let's go to anti-perfectionism weapon 3. Stop editing mid-sentence. And here's what happens when you track your grammar while you are speaking. Fluency collapses immediately. You cannot speak and edit at the same time. It's like trying to drive a car while also rebuilding the engine. Just pick one. The rule is very simple, and this is non-negotiable. Once a sentence starts, it finishes. Regardless of errors, regardless of mistakes, regardless of the fact that you used the wrong tense and you know it, the sentence finishes no matter what. Because flow beats accuracy at this stage. Accuracy follows volume. You need 10,000 imperfect sentences before perfect ones start coming naturally. That's just how it works. So stop at 100 because you keep correcting yourself mid-sentence and you never get there. So only stop when you finish the sentence 100%, because if you keep correcting yourself mid-sentence, you will never get there. And one more thing, people have an 8-second attention span. You know how crazy that is? 8 seconds. It's like the average attention span of a goldfish. They forget your mistake in 5 to 12 seconds. You are spending 5 minutes being embarrassed about something the other person forgot before you even finished apologizing. Never apologize for your mistakes. Repeat the sentence correctly or just keep going. That's it. That's how you do it. Now let's move on to step 3, blocker number 3. Lack of understanding the 70% rule, okay? I mean, look at these cats. They're cute, right? So this is how your brain learns through listening. When you understand 70% of what you hear, your brain pattern matches the missing 30% from context. It fills in the gaps automatically, like a puzzle. That's where real learning happens, right here. Now, at 40% understanding, your brain cannot fill in 60% of gaps. So that's too much missing. You are not learning, you are just experiencing noise with subtitles. And 100% understanding, nothing to fill in, nothing to stretch toward. You are comfortable pretty much, which means you are not growing. So the zone, it's 70% always. Below 70% is just noise, and above 70%, your brain is working. So the rule is very simple. Only consume content you understand at least 70% of, without subtitles, of course. Find your 70% zone. That's the thing. And spend most of your time there. Okay, that's how you absorb English, and that's how you train your ears in the best way possible so you can understand almost everything. Now, let's move on to step 4, expand your listening range with movies. Okay, this one right here, people always get wrong, okay? And it matters because what you watch is not random, right? It depends on what kind of speaking you want to do. So let me show you. If your goal is daily conversation, dialogue, talking to people normally, if your goal is that, then movies and TV shows are your best friend. Movies and TV shows have real speed, real accents, real slang, real interruptions, okay? Nobody in a movie waits for you to catch up, right? They just keep going and you have to understand no matter what. Nobody speaks slowly and clearly for your benefit, you know? Movies are real English at full speed, by the way, in real situations. And also, comedies are secretly the best English learning content on the planet. You know why? Because humor requires understanding nuance, tone, timing, cultural references. If you can follow a comedy, you can pretty much follow almost any real conversation. You will learn how to speak naturally, not correctly. Naturally. And there's a massive difference between being correct and being natural. But if your goal is to speak in monologue, so presentations, sales calls, pitches, videos, educational content is the winner, okay? 80% of what you consume should be educational. Podcasts, YouTube lectures, talks, long form interviews. It has to be long and educational, of course. But why? Because most educational content is monologue, pretty much, right? One person speaking in a structured, clear, confident English for a long time. That's what you're watching right now, pretty much, So you observe that structure, that confidence, and that flow. And it comes out when you speak as well, because what you consume is pretty much what you talk about most of the time. But no matter what you watch, no matter whether it's movies, shows, podcasts, or talks, the rule is always the same. 70% always. Because that way you fully understand, and 30% a little confusing. But okay, because you get the rest by context. That ratio right there, every single time, no exceptions. So remember this 100%, okay? Because it doesn't matter what you watch, it has to be 70-30. So 4 blockers: grammar absorbed, not study; perfectionism, murder with 3 weapons; lack of understanding, fixed with the 70% rule; and listening range. Expand with the right content for your specific goal. So these are weeks 10 and 11. This is where English stops feeling like a foreign language and starts feeling like yours. Now there's one more phase left, week 12 and beyond. Because most programs end before they show you what pretty much happens next, right? And we don't do this here. We will show you week 12 and beyond. And this is where everything comes together and where everything changes. Now it's all about week 12 and beyond, okay? And I need you to tell you something that no program ever says at this point. After week 12, there are no more daily action steps, no more assignments, no more exercises, no more things to check off a list. Because the system has done its job in a way, and now it runs on itself. Here's what that means. By week 12, learning English becomes useless. Practicing English becomes unnecessary because your life, your actual daily life, has become the practice. You don't practice English anymore. You just live, and English comes with you. Now, are you 100% fluent at week 12? Maybe yes, maybe not. Let's be honest. But you are 80% there. And that last 20%, that is what I'm going to show you right now. 3 steps. Let's close this out. Look at this image on the screen right now. What do you see? Two paths, right? Path one, natural responses learned by consuming real information, combining it, focused on meaning and connection, right? Path two, learned grammar, focused on sounding perfect, focused on rules. The response makes grammatical sense, but it doesn't connect with the person listening. One of these sounds like a human. One of these sounds like a textbook. And the difference is not talent, it's not intelligence, it's volume. More real world data, better intuition, fluent output. Simple as that. That's the whole formula. So after week 12, there's only one rule. Take every English opportunity in your environment, every single opportunity. Someone speaks to you in English, you respond fully. Not just one word, you responded fully. A chance to write an email in English, you write it. A meeting where you could contribute in English, every opportunity your environment gives you, you take it. And here's what happens as your English network grows. From all the commenting, chatting, calling you have been doing, more opportunities start coming to you. You don't have to look for them anymore. They find you automatically. You don't need to look for them anymore. Your life becomes the practice. And on top of that, you keep consuming at 70% after week 12 forever, not as a task, just as how you live from now on. And let me show you something that reframes everything. 1 hour sales call in English plus 10 fluency points. Watch a 3 hour TV show plus 2 fluency points. Learn grammar plus 0.1 fluency points, or even -1. The activities that feel the most like studying give you almost nothing. You know what I mean? The activities that feel the most like living give you everything. So stop optimizing for feeling productive and start optimizing for actual fluency points. That's the real thing. Now, step two, pursue your goal now. Don't wait until week 12 to start doing the thing you need English for. That's just like I told you a few minutes ago. Don't wait, okay? English improves fastest when you are using it for something that actually matters. Not for practice, you know what I mean? For real scenarios, for real life. So let me prove it to you. Again, if you take a 1 hour sales call in English, you earn 10 plus fluency points. If you watch a 3 hour TV show, you get 2 fluency points. If you study grammar, if you study for hours every single day, you barely have anything. The sales call is terrifying. The stakes are real. There's a person on the other end with real expectations. That real pressure is worth more than any exercise I can put in this program. Because under pressure, your brain stops playing games. It just has to do what it has to do. It produces immediately. 100% without waiting to feel ready. It doesn't matter how much you know, it's just gonna produce no matter what, even if it's wrong, even if it's not good. So, whatever you have been waiting to do in English, the job application, the interview, the video, the first sales call, the international meeting where you have been staying quiet, stop waiting. Just do it now. Let real life be your teacher. Nothing in this program will teach you faster than real life. That's how you improve. That's how you become fluent as fast as you can. And that's how you not only become fluent, but you change your life forever. Now, step three, confidence compounds. Okay. I've worked with a lot of students. Okay. And after everything, every exercise, every call, every technique, every week of the system, I asked them all the same question. What was the biggest breakthrough? And almost nobody said vocabulary, almost nobody said grammar, almost nobody said a specific technique or exercise. You know what they said? Guess. The willingness to speak without waiting for permission from their English level. That's the key. That's the difference. That was it. Yeah, no perfect English, just the willingness to use imperfect English before they felt ready in real situations with real people. That's the thing that changes everything. And here's the truth that changes all of it. Fluency follows confidence, not the other way around. You have been waiting to feel fluent before you speak with confidence. But fluency doesn't come first. Confidence comes first. So it doesn't matter if your English is not perfect. If you're just confident with what you have and you just use it because that's what you have to do right now, you will feel confident no matter what. Confidence that it's okay to be imperfect. Confidence that the other person won't disappear when you make a mistake. Confidence that your voice, even in broken English, is worth hearing. That confidence, once it appears, compounds over time. Every call you take, every mistake you survive, every conversation you finish, even the messy ones, just it adds to it and it compounds. And the more it compounds, the faster the fluency follows. That's how it works. Now, let me show you what that looks like in real people. So, guess what my students did? Pretty much the same thing. Speaking before feeling ready. Not consumption, not grammar, speaking. So, Owen, for example, on his first community call, his hands were shaking, shaking. He was sweating. He didn't know what to do. He was terrified. So he switched from passive consumption to producing English every single day. And then one day he said something I still think about almost every single day. The more I spoke, the more I could understood. You know how crazy that is? Not the other way around. Speaking made him understand better because production forces comprehension in a way that consumption never does. It just blew my mind when he said that because so many people out there right now think that they have to consume content in order to speak better, but it's the other way around. They have to speak more so they can understand more. Arnaud, for example, moved from passive consumption to active daily practice. And the thing that changed everything for him, the community, real people showing up every single day, people like him pushing in the same direction. He said, the community was the real shift, not a technique, not a method, not a video. The people around him. That's what made him fluent. That's what made him a better person overall. So, like I said, this is not only about becoming fluent, this is a process that you go through that makes you a better person. Stepher, for example, she started describing things in her mind in English while walking outside, just narrating her life. She even posted a video inside our community so a lot of people could see. So she was doing this out loud in English. And then something happened. She stopped feeling alone in this. And she said something I want every single person watching this to hear right now. English cannot be learned in isolation. You have to produce and share it. You have to produce it. And she didn't have this mindset before joining the community, before joining the program. It just happened after. So you have to do both. You have to produce it, you have to share it. Not one or the other, but both. And Owen, Arnaud, and Sefer, shaking hands, passive consumption, narrating a walk alone, it was always the same system, same community, same decision to speak before they felt ready. And you just watched the transformation happen in a simple presentation. Now, here's the part where I tell you that you can connect with me and with them, and also with all 1,400 people inside English Achievers. People pretty much doing exactly what you just watched. Every day, showing up, speaking, growing, everything. So if you join the community, that's the community that you're going to be part of. Imagine the amount of progress that you're going to make around these people. So just click on the first link in the description, join. It's free, by the way, because everything I just showed you, the 5 ways, the loop, the CCC system, the energy baseline, the 70% rule, the timed challenges, the anti-perfectionism weapons, all of it works better with people beside you. It always has. It always will. So you can do it alone. Yeah, maybe you can, but it's going to take so much more time. And it's not going to be fun. Along the way, you can have friends. You can meet people in real life. All of it. Just by joining a community and just by going through this process and taking it seriously. You came into this presentation as someone trying to learn English. You are living it as someone who speaks it. That shift happened right there, in this room that you are in watching this video right now. Before you even made a single call, because the identity came first. Remember, I speak English every single day. Say it. I speak English every single day. Say it like you mean it. Because after everything you just learned, you do. You do speak English every day from now on. Now, you just have to go out there and prove it. Okay, so that's the system. Let me show it to you one more time so everything is clear, okay? So step 1 is diagnose the problem. We find out why you actually struggle, not what you think the problem is, the real problem. Step 2, triple the output. You start speaking every day, alone first, so there's no pressure yet. And then step 3, destroy your comfort zone. Now you speak with real people, people you actually like talking to, not someone that you think you wouldn't like to talk to and then you force yourself. And then step 4, murder the communication blockers. We remove everything that makes speaking feel hard, and you pretty much can just speak, right? And then step 5, the next level. Your life becomes the practice. You know, English just runs by itself. 5 steps, 12 weeks, that's the whole system. And now you have a choice to make. Here's your choice. Everything I just showed you, you can try to do it alone, of course. And maybe you will. And some people do. They try to do it alone. But let me be honest with you for a second, okay? Because I have seen both sides of this. And the difference is very, very clear. Here's what usually happens when someone tries to do it alone. They watch this video, they feel excited, they feel motivated, because when you watch something new, it makes you feel excited, right? It's new information. They start for 1 week, maybe 2, and then life happens, right? Work gets busy, they have a bad day, they miss one morning session, and then another, and then another. And then because there's nobody waiting for them, nobody checking on them, nobody pushing them, they go back to what's easy. which is to consume English pretty much forever. Back to passive consumption, back to watching English instead of speaking it. I have coached so many people, and I have seen this happen so many times. People just disappear. And a few months later, I reached out to them, and they always say the same thing. Hey man, I had so much motivation at the beginning, and then I just got lost. I saw no progress. I had so much motivation, but I saw no progress. Because motivation without a structure always dies. Always. And also without discipline. If you always rely on motivation, you will never be fluent in English because motivation disappears very quickly. Discipline is what makes you stay and stick with what you have to do. Now, here's what doing with us looks like, okay? Week one, I built a full plan just for you. Not a general plan, okay? Your plan based on your level, your goal, your life. Every week after that, we have one-on-one sessions. Also, we have group calls, video breakdowns, and feedback reports. Okay, I show you exactly what to fix and how. And 12 weeks later, we make one of your dreams come true. You record your first English video, you pass on an interview, you do a sales call in English, whatever your goal is, okay? We go after it together. Not someday, but in just 12 weeks, which is crazy. And this is not a course you buy and forget. This is someone next to you every single week, making sure you don't stop. Make sure you achieve what you have to achieve. So I'm gonna explain to you again, one more time, who this is for. I have to make it clear, okay? So let me say one more time who this is actually for. This is for you if you understand English but freeze when you speak. This is for you if you tried before and stopped, not because you were lazy, of course, but because the system you had was wrong, right? This is for you if you have a real reason to become fluent. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's freedom, maybe it's belonging, something that actually matters to you. This is for you if you are willing to speak English before you feel ready. If you think that you need to speak English only when you feel ready, then this is not for you. And this is for you if you're ready for 12 weeks of real work with someone next to you the whole time. If that's you, keep watching because the next part is where it gets very, but very real. Now, I have to share with you some people that actually went through this and what they have achieved, the progress that they have made. Okay, let me show you some people who were exactly where you are right now. So Arnaud, for example, from France, before he came to us, he understood everything in English videos. Complex words, fast speakers, no problem, right? But speaking, nothing came out. He had so many words inside his head, and his mouth just didn't know how to release them. He consumes so much English that even native speakers don't use those words in real conversation, right? Which is crazy. You consume so much English that you start using some words that not even native speakers use in real conversations, which feels unnatural, right? But his mouth had never practiced releasing any of it, right? A full library, but the door was locked. So what changed for Arnaud? Just one thing. He moved from passive consumption to active daily practice. For the first time in his English learning life, he stopped absorbing and started producing. And the community was the real shift for him. He actually networked and he connected with people. And he was able to have so many calls with people in English, right? Being around people like him, people going through the same thing, people who showed up every single day. That changed everything. He wasn't doing it by himself anymore. He was surrounded by people doing the exact same thing. And 10 weeks later, just 10 weeks later, how crazy is that? Because most people take years to get this amount of results, okay? Arnaud speaks to anyone, native speakers, strangers, people who used to make him nervous without fear of being judged. And the biggest change, he no longer translates from French. English just comes out automatically. The words he used to memorize from videos, the ones that never came out in conversation, now flow naturally without thinking. We even have a video about his story. The title, I don't translate anymore. 10 weeks, that's all it took. So you can watch it on my second channel if you want, of course. And then there's more people, which is crazy, right? Owen. Owen from Taiwan, okay, born and raised in a place where nobody around him spoke English. He watched YouTube every day, podcasts, all the content, right? But he couldn't understand native speakers at full speed. A lot of people suffer with that, right? You might be suffering with that right now. And speaking, he was terrified, like zero real progress. He was just consuming and consuming and consuming, hoping something would change someday, just like me in the past. But of course, nothing changed, because if you just consume content, nothing's gonna change. You might actually get better at listening. Your listening might improve, but when you speak, you're going to see the real difference. Then Owen joined the community. His first call, his hands were shaking, which is like pretty cool to see how he can join calls now and just have a fun time. But before he was like literally shaking. But he got on the call anyway, and he made one decision that changed everything, changed his life forever. He switched from passive consumption to producing English every single day. And then he said something that I want you to remember. He said, "The more I spoke, the more I could understand." Not the other way around. Speaking made him understand better. Because when you produce, when you speak, your brain starts connecting everything faster. Now, Owen, after, from a few English conversations here and there to 5 calls a week, he recorded himself for the first time. Now it's pretty much normal. He does it all the time. He reaches out to strangers and starts conversations without fear. And he says something at the end that I still think about almost every single day. I have become a better version of myself, not just English. And that's what the process of learning English provides to you. You become a better version of yourself, not just better at English, but better in life. He became a better version of himself, because that's what speaking does when you stop being afraid of it. There's more. Anjali from India, but she's living in Canada now. She knew what she wanted to say. The words were there, the ideas were there. But every time she tried to speak, her mind went completely blank. And here's the part that really got me. She couldn't make eye contact with herself on camera. You might relate to that, and I can 100% relate to that. In the past, I couldn't look at myself. She was afraid to speak even alone, even when nobody was watching. And in just 2 months, which is crazy by the way, Anjali went from not being able to speak on a call to taking calls without fear. Native speakers in Canada noticed the improvement. Real people in her real life. In a few weeks, she talked to more people than she had in the past 1 or 2 years. She wakes up early now, she studies 2 hours a day, no excuses. Her discipline changed completely, which is crazy because when you go through this process of learning English, like I said, you become a different person. And that's what happened with her. And she says, I can finally express myself. And that is the most important thing. But let me show you what it actually took, because this part is important. Before her first call with me, she texted me asking to reschedule because she was terrified. And I understood that because I was in the same position. I just said, no. And she got on the call anyway. Then she made her first challenge video, a challenge that I created for her. And then she made her first challenge video, a challenge that I created for her. And she deleted it before sending it to me because she thought she wasn't perfect. And here's what made the difference for Anjali. Having someone who pushed her to take action and didn't let her escape. I mean, look at this. She deleted the video. I asked why. She said, sorry, I guess it wasn't perfect. That one text, that one moment of someone not letting her run away, that was the difference between staying stuck and finally moving. If she didn't have me at that time, she would be stuck forever at this point. There's more. There's more people. Sefer from Turkey. She started and stopped English for years. She had no system, no direction, just trying things and giving up. She even went to speaking clubs. And you know what she did at every speaking club? She sat quietly and just listened. A speaking club where she chose to stay quiet. She said, I had no idea what to say, so I avoided speaking entirely. Years of trying, zero progress. Because she had all the input and almost no output, right? And it makes sense. When you only consume English, you don't know how to speak because you don't speak. It's almost like going to the gym and expecting to build a lot of muscle just by watching people. It's not going to happen. But then something very small changed. She started describing things in her mind in English while walking outside. She narrated her own life out loud, alone. And the program gave her something she had never had before: a structure, consistency, a clear path, and people around her doing the same thing. She said, English can be learned in isolation. You have to produce it and share it. You have to produce it. And she didn't know that before the program. After the program, she completely changed her mindset and now she speaks more than ever before. You have to produce it and you have to share it. That's the whole thing right there. But now she went from A2 level, barely making sentences, to speaking every single day. She started thinking in English automatically, no more translating. She started talking to strangers on the street in English in her country, a country that the main language is not English. And she said something that I don't think I would ever forget. If it wasn't for this community, I might have felt depression. The community is what kept me going, not just English. The community kept her going through the hard days, through the days she wanted to stop. People were there every single day, and that made all the difference. So let me show you what will change in your actual life, not in theory, in real life. You stop avoiding meetings at work and you showed up differently. You speak, you contribute, people notice you. You stop recording yourself 20 times and instead you just flow. You just press record and you just flow in a smooth way, just like peanut butter. The words just come. You post it and that's it. You stop translating in your head and you just speak directly in English. You don't translate anymore. And you stop being invisible in the rooms where English matters. The meetings, the interviews, the conversations that could change your life. You stop watching from the outside and you walk in. So I know what some of you are thinking right now. João, this is all great. I can see you have helped a lot of people, but what do I actually get? What are the real things inside the program? Fair question, of course. So let me show you everything because there's a lot. So let me start with this. Before you practice alone, nobody tells you what's wrong. You just hope you are improving, right? Now you get on a call with me every week. We talk about things you actually care about: your life, your work, your goals. And while we talk, I listen. I hear exactly where you freeze, where you slow down, where the words don't come. And then I give you simple steps to fix it. Not general advice, steps for you every single week. And these calls can last up to 2 hours. Before you practice alone, there's no pressure, no real feedback. Now, every week, you speak in front of real people at your level, and something interesting happens. When you do this every week for 12 weeks, a work meeting feels easy. A client call feels easy because you have already been doing something harder every week. So you're not gonna have only calls with me, but also group calls. And the group calls are your training ground. Before, you wait for the next call to get any practice. But now you open our AI practice too. Anytime you want, day or night, you practice speaking, you get feedback immediately. 365 days of practice already included. And this is not ChatGPT. We built it specifically for no native English speakers. It knows what you need, it gives feedback that actually helps. And then there's the English social circle system. Before, you just don't know where to find speaking partners. You get random apps and you try to find them, but it never works. You get ghosted, or you talk to random people and have the same small talk conversation every single time. Now you get matched with real people who share your interests and your level. Real people, real conversations about things you actually care about. And here's my favorite part: our students don't just find speaking partners, they make friends, real friends in English. They are even trying to meet up in real life one day, which is like crazy because now you can pretty much have friends for life maybe. Before, you scroll on YouTube trying to figure out what to work on next. Now you have a plan every single week, a real one with your name on it. Week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way to week 12. You know exactly what to do, when to do it, and why. No more guessing, no more wasted time. Just the next step is this: clear, simple, waiting for you. So you don't need to overthink everything. You just know exactly what to do. You just look at a document and do it. That's the best thing. Before, something is wrong with your English, but you don't know what. Now, I watch you speak every single week for hours. I record a video showing you the exact moments to where you freeze, where you slow down, where something breaks, and I explain exactly how to fix it. This is not a grammar course I made for 1,000 people. This is 4 hours of content made just for you, for your specific problems, your specific English, your specific goal. I mean, imagine 4 hours of content just for you. This is it. Before, you practice and you hope you are getting better, but you are not sure. You don't know if you're getting better or not. Now, every single week, you get a written report: what improved, what still needs work, what to focus on next. 12 reports, honest feedback, and it's just yours. You never have to guess if you are making progress. You just can see it every single week. There's more. There's more. Before, improvement feels invisible. You cannot see it, so you quit, right? Because when you cannot see something, you lose motivation very fast. Now, every week, your speaking time and your confidence go up on a chart. You have proof that you are improving. Even on the days it doesn't feel like it, even on the hard days, the chart shows you the truth. You are moving. So you keep going because of that. You don't give up. And there's more. Before, the program ends and you have no idea what to do next. So you go back to your old habits. Now, at the end of 12 weeks, you get a plan for the next 3 months after the program. Week by week, clear steps so you keep going. You never go back to your old self because you know exactly what to do next, always. So it doesn't matter if the program lasts 3 months, 1 year. You're always gonna know what to do next because you're gonna have a plan forever, pretty much. Okay, so you thought that was it. I mean, there were a bunch of things, but I bet you thought that that was everything. No, that's not everything. I kept some things secret, and I'm not gonna show them all today. But here's one more thing, and honestly, I'm a little scared to show it to you. Should I do it? Yeah, let's do it. The real world speaking mission. At the end of 12 weeks, we finish with a real mission. Not a test, it's not a certificate, a real thing. in the real world. Here are some examples. You give your first class in English without being nervous. I mean, imagine that. You were suffering with English and then you give your own classes in English. That is crazy. You do your first confidence sales call in English. Or maybe you upload your first 10 videos on YouTube in English. Or even you pass a C1 speaking test in English. And these are real things, real achievements in the real world. This is not a score or a certificate. This is something that you achieve because you wanted to achieve. That was your goal. So this is not a congratulations. Here's a certificate that says you completed the program. No. We finish when you do something real, something big, something that you're gonna look back in and think, I can't believe this has happened. You know, something you can point to and say, I did that in English for real. And here's our promise to you. We find our mission together. We prepare for it. We work with you for free until you complete it. If it takes longer than 12 weeks, we keep going until you achieve that goal, until you achieve that mission. Because I'm tired of people saying, someday I'm gonna start, someday I'm gonna do it. And it never happens. I want results for you now, in these 12 weeks, not someday, right now. I want you to change your life. I want you to experience how powerful the English language is when you actually do the right things. I mean, let me just show you quickly what real people did. People in our program went on job interviews in English. One person went on 5 sales calls in English and closed one for $1,800. It blew my mind. Another person hosted her own group coaching calls in English. And many people recorded 10 or more videos on YouTube in English. These are not goals. These are things that actually happened to people who were exactly where you are right now. So you can be the next one doing these things. And by the way, this guy, Arten, helped me organize this program. So these testimonials are from people that he helped. So you just saw the whole system. I showed you how it works. I showed you the people who used it. I showed you what they achieved. And you know what they all had in common? The first thing they did was not watch another video. It was not wait until they felt ready. The first thing they did was message me and get on a call. 30 minutes, that's it. So if after this video, after everything that I explained to you, after everything that you know now, if you still watch another video about how to learn English, you are pretty much delaying the amount of time that it's going to take for you to become fluent. Now is your time to take the action, take the first step, and to actually start your journey and start doing the right things. Because if you don't take the first action step right now, after this video, you will be stuck forever. You will never become fluent. Or maybe you will, but it's gonna take years. And one day you will look back and regret because you never took this first step. Look, everything seems scary before you actually do it. You only achieve success in life when you take risks. And the difference between people that succeeded and the people that never succeeded is right here. That's the difference. People that succeeded, they took a risk, they took the action that was necessary for them to achieve their goal. And the people that didn't succeed, they never took the action. So what's gonna be? It's your choice. 30 minutes later, their English was never the same. Just 30 minutes later. Because they made a choice, they made a decision. They walked away with a strategy, a full plan, a clear picture of what the next 12 weeks of their life would look like. On the call with me, I take everything I showed you today and I make it personal for you. Again, think about how crazy that is. It's not just a generic plan. It's everything for you, everything personalized for you. You leave the call with confidence and a full plan for the next 12 weeks. All you have to do right now is just DM me the word fluent on Instagram and I'll see you there. That's all you have to do. Go on my Instagram, DM me the word fluent. That's it. I know some of you are thinking this right now. John, 12 weeks is not enough to become fluent. Well, let me be very, very clear about this. 12 weeks is not for perfection. 12 weeks is to break a wall that has been there for 2, 5, 10 years. The system fixes the real problem. No output, no feedback. Not the symptoms, vocabulary, grammar, confidence. And here's the thing that most people miss. You have been doing the same things for 3, 5, 10 years. I mean, who knows, maybe even 15 years. And it hasn't worked. If you keep doing the same things, it would take even more 10 years. And years from now, you will look back and you will realize that it took 20 years for you to become fluent, or you never did. 12 weeks of the right system beats 10 years of the wrong one. You can spend 10 years doing the wrong things and never become fluent. And you can do the right things in 12 weeks and become fluent. Every single student who showed up and did the work got results. Everyone. So everything will be handed to you. And all you have to do is take action and follow the plan. Because that's how you're going to become fluent in the next 12 weeks. 12 weeks is not enough. I mean, I hear this a lot. And I know what you will probably say. I will join when my English is a little bit better. I hear this a lot as well. And I want you to really hear what I'm about to say, okay? That belief, the idea of waiting, is the exact belief this program is designed to break. There's not a better English version of you waiting around the corner. That version doesn't exist yet. You have to build it. And you build it by speaking English right now. Not when you're ready, now. The best version of you is built by speaking, not by waiting to speak. You already have been waiting enough. You have to take the actions now, to take the necessary steps so you can actually build the life that you have always dreamed of. This is the time. This video is your sign to finally break that wall and become the person that you have always wanted to become. I know you have tried things before. Arnaud tried things before. Owen tried things before. Angeli tried things before. Sefer tried things before. I have tried multiple things before for years. And many other people. They all tried things and stopped. Not because they were lazy, because those programs were missing 4 things: accountability, feedback, structure, and identity work. They had content, but they didn't have a system that actually changed how they saw themselves. Look at what they did after. Same people, completely different system, completely different result. And you might say, I'm not sure I have the time. Well, 90 minutes a week, that's the minimum. 1 call plus your daily tasks. 1.5 hours a week. That's easy. You have that time. And if you think you might not have that time, it's just because you are wasting your time. You have to optimize your life so you can actually do the things that is necessary for you to become fluent, right? 2 calls plus tasks, 3 hours a week. That's amazing, right? 3 to 5 calls plus tasks, 4 to 6 hours a week. That's the challenge level, okay? This program was built for busy people. No native speakers who have jobs, families, real lives. It's not whether you have time. It's about whether you want to keep waiting or not. So this is just an excuse. You have time. You don't need 5 hours a day to become fluent. You don't need 6 hours a day to become fluent. You just need 1 hour and a half, 3 hours, 6 hours per week of doing the right things in order to become fluent. And that's all you do here. Okay, so here's exactly what to do right now. You just heard every excuse, and now you know none of them are actually true. Because of videos and my schedule, I can only take 10 people a month, okay? Not 100, not 50, 10. 10 people, and that's it. Right now, there are 7 spots left, only 7. And I mean that. This is not a trick. So here's what you do. Pay attention to this. DM me the word fluent on Instagram. Just that one word. Fluent. And I will see you there. That's how I will know you're ready to take action and become fluent once and for all and change your entire life. Going through this process is not easy, but if you are willing to take the action, if you are willing to take the risk in order to become the best version of yourself, not only become fluent in English, but also change your entire life, this is the time. One last thing. The quietest kid in his entire school, afraid to say a single word, afraid to raise his hand so he could ask the teacher to go to the bathroom. That was me, just 3 years ago. The only difference between that version of me and the person talking to you right now is one decision. That's it. I stopped sleeping on it. I stopped waiting. You already understand English, otherwise, you wouldn't be able to watch this. You know this. You have been understanding this whole presentation, like I said. The English is already there. All you need is the decision. That's it. The decision to transform your English in 12 weeks. Not someday, now. That's all you need. Because that's what it takes. It's one decision. And if you don't make the decision, you might never become fluent, or it might take you years and years, just like me. So I see you on that call. DM me the word fluent on Instagram. João Salles EA. The link, it's in the description. I see you on that call.